Alright, we've already applied the body filler, now we switched the cartridges, and this is the Glaze putty that 3M has. You just change this cartridge out, you take the body filler off and put this one on. And then you're also going to have to purge this in order to make sure that the glazing putty is mixing in with the hardener. So. Is that me? Okay, glazing putty, I mentioned a few of the advantages. And also a good thing about it is that it can be applied over the painted areas if it's sanded. You want to make sure that whatever you do apply is sanded. But you can get it over the different feather edge areas, over your body filler, over your metal, and back onto your paint. This can be applied over sanded body filler, paint, primer, or metal. So it's good for making your final coat, and that way it can kind of help make your feather edge nice and smooth. Doesn't take a lot of this. I'm just going to put this on this. The glaze is a little thinner. It comes out a little bit thinner. And so you just want to spread a nice even coat over the entire surface. So you just want to go from feather edge area to the feather edge area. That would probably be enough. Again, you want to push down tight at first to make sure that it covers the surface with a tight coat. This is the first time I've ever used the glazing putty through this system. It seems to smooth really nice. You don't want to overwork it. Be sure and get it off all your edges. That'll help eliminate some of the sanding later. Get it right there a little bit more. Get it off right there. You notice that I dropped a little bit on here, on this surface right here. I'm going to go ahead and get it off of here. But I'm going to leave that on there because that's not a sanded surface, so whenever that dries, it'll just pop off really easy. If I tried to wipe that off right now, I'd just kind of smear. And again, I'm going to kind of feather edge my edges in, kind of help eliminate some sanding. Now when I get ready to sand this surface, I can hit it like I did with the other one with some 36, but instead I'm going to start with 80 on this. And just kind of level it out, and then I'm going to switch to 150 to finish it all out. The one thing you don't want to do with putty, since this is the final one, just go ahead and let this dry all the way before you start sanding. You really don't want to sand this before it fully hardens like we did the body filler. Just go ahead and let this dry. We'll sand it lightly with some 80 and then finish it out with 150. Alright, now we've got the glazing putty on there. It's dried. We're going to go ahead and start sanding. Like I said, we're going to use 80 grit just to kind of level it out, and then we're going to switch to 150. Remember I mentioned like this spot that we left on there, if we let it dry, see I just barely push it, it comes off. And this again kind of is a good reason why you want to sand something. It has to be on a sanded surface. If it's not sanded, it's not going to adhere properly. So if it does get on your painted surfaces, just wait till it dries. And it'll peel right off. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and hit this, and when I'm using 80, I don't want to get 80 scratches all in here and back in here or anything like that. So I'm just kind of wanting to work in the center areas with this 80 grit just to kind of level it out, work the get it a little bit smoother, then we'll switch. Still want to cross sand. That'll assure you got a level surface. If you just constantly go in one direction, it's going to start falling a contour, and it may come out not level. Notice I'm staying within the filler area, the glazing filler area. Just kind of wanting to get a level. We still want to leave quite a bit on there that we can sand out with the 150. You notice I've got it sanded. Didn't really worry about the edges at this point because I want to do that with the 150 grit. But I got all this sanded. Needs a little bit of work in there. But we're going to go ahead and start switch to the 150. But before I do, I want to put a little guide coat on here. And what this is, it's a black spray that we put on here. They've got this kind. They've also got it in dry form. I'm gonna spray a little bit on here. And what that's gonna do is that's gonna help me identify the lows. So if there's a low area or if there's a scratch that's not sanded out, you know, it's gonna stay in that area, and that way it kind of helps me identify the lows that way. Okay, now I'm going to start sanding with the 150. Now I'm going to start concentrating more on these edges, and be sure to cross sand those edges out, and that's what's going to help feather it into the painted surface. You can see right here that that showed me that there's still a little bit of a low area there. I think it's going to sand out, but I am starting to hit metal and the body filler a little bit. So I don't want to sand too much more. If it actually doesn't sand out pretty fast, you may have to put on some more glaze in that area. Concentrating on this edge right now. Cross sanding, just trying to get it to feather in good. That area did block out fine, but I can feel there's still a little bit of an edge right there that I need to finish getting out. And also going back and forth to each side like I'm doing, that helps you do the cross sand, you know, to get it good and cross sand. But also gives me a break from one arm to the next as well. Work out on it over here a little bit. And as you're sanding, you just kind of feel of it and make sure that it is coming out level. And that'll tell you quite a bit. And remember to use the flat of your hand, don't use your fingertips. Sand in all different directions. I'm going to sand this way just a little bit. Alright, here's a little tip also. Your sandpaper is going to get sanding dust on it. It's going to make it where it doesn't sand quite as good. If you get an old scuff pad or something and just rub it on there a couple times, that helps keep it clean. It prolongs the life of the sandpaper and helps you sand this off a little quicker. So getting pretty close. It's starting to feel level. Still need a little bit right here. Edges are feeling pretty good. So sand just a little bit more and we'll just about have this. Alright, now everything's feathered in. You don't feel any of your feather edges. This has got all your small scratches filled in from your 36 grit and your 80 grit. And now we have it finished out in 150 grit sandpaper. So now we're ready to go ahead and prep the rest of the fender for paint. And then we'll get this ready for primer.